Hello, folks, and welcome back here to Tournament Central as we continue to bring you coverage of the 2023 PDGA Professional Disc Golf World Championships presented by L.L.Bean. Of course, we are out at Smuggler's Notch in Jeffersonville, Vermont during Day 4 of Worlds with just one round left to go. My name is Dustin Murray, and I'll be your host. And joining me once again is disc golf guy himself, Terry Miller. And Terry, I think we epitomized the meaning of moving day today with the type of golf that we saw displayed from the entire field throughout the day. First things first, let's talk Isaac Robinson. Of course, this is a guy who won our first major of the year at the Champions Cup, came into Worlds ranked second in our Pro Tour standings. Outside of his title at the Champions Cup, he had also found the podium at multiple events, including recently at Idlewild and Des Moines. Lots of other great finishes to share. The one thing we were talking about in the pre-show, Terry, was the fact that we had seen him shoot 9 under par both times at Brewster, but his first attempt at Fox Run, he only shot 6 under par. And so we wondered what he would be able to do with Fox Run being the final 2 rounds of this tournament. Well, we got our answer, Terry. He doubled his efforts, shooting 12 under par, going 100% from C1X, and only had 1 OB stroke the entire day. I mean, what a performance from Isaac. What were you seeing out there, Terry?
Yeah, one of the things that I was calling for is to see him convert more often from circle 2. He did that just once today. He had 3 looks. He converted on 1 of those 3, but it didn't appear that he needed them because he was getting it done everywhere else. You see that string of birdies that he put together, very incredible in the middle section of the course. He was off to a little bit of a slow start, but then finishing strong. I love to see that. We know less than 24 hours from now, we're going to be crowning a world champion, and they're going to have to play 16, 17, and 18, which a lot of things can happen on those holes. You may take 17 for granted in terms of a birdie, but there's plenty of danger on both 16 and 18 specifically, and that doesn't mean you're guaranteed the birdie on 17, just to be clear. That's maybe a little reprieve, but 16 and 18 can do anything to your scorecard. So it was good to see him finish out really strong. I think that's going to give him added confidence as he heads into Championship Sunday.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I mean, this is a guy throughout the year who has proven, based on his podium finishes at different types of courses, that he is capable of playing a well-rounded game of golf. We just didn't quite see it from him at Fox Run during the second round of the tournament, but boy, we got it in spades today as he finds himself with a 3-stroke lead. Sitting just behind him, though, Terry, is a name that people may not be as familiar with, and that's, of course, the young Evan Scott. This is a guy who's only on his second year on tour. He has done well at silver events. He came second at the Cascade Challenge and won the kind of abridged Zootown Open, I guess you could say. But, you know, his best finish at an Elite or higher event coming into Worlds was 26th, and that happened very recently, actually, at Idlewild and Ledgestone. So maybe picking up steam at just the right time. We got to catch up with him after his amazing round today. Let's take a look.
Right, catching up with Evan Scott. Evan kept it in the middle.
Yeah.
Is that the thing to do at Fox Run Meadows?
Yeah, as long as you stay in the fairway, don't throw it OB, it's almost hard not to shoot a good round.
Well, 12 under is certainly one of those good rounds. What else was cooking for you in the game today?
I think I only missed 1 or 2 putts that I would have liked to have back, so my putting felt really good all day and just really consistent, never did anything stupid. Just kind of kept birdieing the whole time.
Your entire card was lighting it up pretty well. What does that do for your game?
I think that helps me out a lot, especially like Calvin was playing really good the whole time, so I don't think I caught him until hole 18, so I was just chasing him down the entire round. That honestly, I think, makes it a little easier for me when I'm chasing somebody.
You're in this position at a world championship. What is that pressure like? I mean, do you embrace it? Does it get to you?
It's definitely a lot of pressure, but I like it a lot. It makes it a lot more fun, I think, so I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
As it stands right now, you have a little 2 next to your name on the leaderboard.
Awesome.
Yeah. What's your first thought process there?
Hopefully it's a 1 tomorrow.
Perfect. That's Evan Scott. Great round today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
A great round indeed, a clean 12 under par, only 1 OB penalty on the day, and 94% from C1X. Just really missed the 1 putt on hole 9, and that would have maybe put him at 13 under par for the day. But I'm sure he'll be happy with 12 under, as that puts him just 3 strokes off the lead. And again, Terry, this is the best position we have ever seen Evan Scott in at an Elite or higher event. I know this is a player that you've talked to and you've seen up close in person in the past. What are your thoughts on Scott, and are you shocked to see him in this position with the final round left to go at Worlds?
he may not be a name that you necessarily picked at the beginning of the World Championships, but after meeting him earlier in this year in some events that were prior to the tour, I'm not surprised at all to see what Evan Scott is doing. He's got this incredible circle 2 range in which I feel like he's throwing him in left and right from circle 2. So to see only one connection from C2 today actually comes as a surprise to me. If you told me he had 5 or 6 or 8 connections from circle 2, that wouldn't have even surprised me. So Evan Scott definitely has the long range putting down. I'm not concerned about that. He did card an ace back on hole number 15 2 rounds ago, so he's got a little of the ace vibes going here at the World Championships. And my last thought on him is he's confident. When that was the abridged version of the Silver Series event back at Montana, when we talked to him a few days after the win, I said, well, are you okay with the fact that it was abridged? And he said, no. I wanted to go out, I wanted to play the final day, and I wanted to prove to everyone that I could take down a 3-round tournament. And so he was almost disappointed in the fact that he didn't get to go out and prove himself to the world. He was still, of course, had earned the win in that particular instance, but that told me a lot about him, that he wasn't content with an abridged version and that he really did want to go out and prove himself. And I don't think there's any better proof than sitting in second place at the World Championships the day before Championship Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, a crazy step up for him for his second year on tour. Again, his best elite finish before this Worlds was 26, and that was very recently at Idlewild, and I believe one other tournament right next to Idlewild. So he is taking a massive leap right now. We certainly are going to look out for him tomorrow. But after him, we have a 3-way tie for third, and the first person we're going to be talking about, of course, is going to be Calvin Heinberg. He's been the most consistent player on the tour this season, ranked number 1 in the world and in our standings. He has 3 wins already and 10 additional podium finishes. Outside of Champions Cup, he has never placed outside of the top 10 this season. He shot an 11 under par today to move up 6 spots, but unfortunately that's only half the story. We'll hear the rest from him in the interview that he just had.
Joined now by Calvin Heinberg. Calvin, just initial thoughts right after the round today.
Just frustrated with how I finished 18, but other than that, I threw the disc really well, and I'm gonna have to go do that again and subtract a couple mistakes in order to maybe take this home tomorrow.
And what are those mistakes? What are you seeing on 18? What are you seeing from your disc?
I just can't throw it OB. That's really all you can do, especially not right, and that's what I did. So, yeah.
A lot of positives in the round today too. What was clicking and working well?
I threw the disc really well. I honestly didn't have to putt, a ton. I was just close most of the time. So I think I maybe made one circle 2 putt on hole 9 hole 9. And then other than that, everything was nestled pretty close to the basket. So scoring was made pretty easy today.
Still square in the mix. What's the mindset taking the course tomorrow?
It's got to be the same as today. You just got to be in full-on attack mode. There's definitely going to be a bunch of people still in contention going in tomorrow, so you're going to have to shoot a hot one unless there's some kind of crazy weather.
All right, thanks, Calvin. See you tomorrow.
Yep, see you tomorrow.
And those are some words from Calvin Heinberg, who, again, was on pace for a fantastic round, and despite the way it ended, it was still a solid one. He shot 11 under par today. His putter didn't touch the floor until hole 16 as he went 100% from C1X and made his first Circle 2 attempt. Missed the last 2 Circle 2 attempts he had on 16 and 18. And unfortunately on 18, Terry, I don't know if you saw this, but he had to re-tee. He went out of bounds way early right. So, I mean, this was a guy that was potentially going to break the course record. We'll talk about that course record a little bit later. But still, 11 under par, tied for third, 3 strokes off the lead. What is your take on Calvin as he head in the championship Sunday?
I mean, let's be real. Calvin Heinberg in the top 3 near the end of an event. What is the shock or surprise there? Absolutely none whatsoever. He's been so consistent throughout the year. The only challenge that he's really had is the events like this one where he's had to battle back into the conversation. I think about D-Glow just a few weeks ago, where he had, of course, those 2 eagles that then skyrocketed him up to be more in the conversation. And then he had a hard time just closing that round out as well. So the one mistake, as he said, you cannot make on 18. I know Ian and Philo and others have been saying that. If you go out of bounds, that's one thing. You have to go out of bounds deep on the left side, because from there you can still at least get up and down and save your par. You have that potential to do so. You can't be doing it off of the tee. So that is the one thing that I think everyone needs to take into consideration, of course, when they're playing on hole 18. And I know that's easier said than done, but the miss is to the left. Calvin otherwise giving us a pretty straightforward, stoic, basic responses. Also not surprising. He knows what needs to be done tomorrow. The scary thing is he has the skills to do it. So if he can duplicate the efforts he did today, he certainly will be in that conversation at the end of the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, he is 4 strokes off the lead. He's up against a tough competitor in Isaac Robinson, but if anybody could get it done, Calvin Heinberg would certainly be one of those names amongst that list. Now, joining him in the tie for third is going to be Kyle Klein, entering Worlds ranked 11th. He won Waco earlier this year to quickly have some success and placed in the top 10 at Austin and Texas State, so had a great West Coast swing. In the summer, we saw him have to DNF a couple of events due to injury, but he was able to make his way back and eventually came second place at the European Open, and he recently came fourth at Idlewild. It's been kind of a mix for him most of the week, but today he would shoot 11 under par to move up 6 spots into a tie for third. Clean card, and now also just 4 strokes off the lead. What's your take on Kyle Klein's performance today and his ability to put himself in the picture for Championship Sunday?
Kyle, outside of that early season action, like you said, hasn't been as much of a factor because of his back. I know that's what has been the main issue for him, so it's really good to see him battling back here. He's had a relatively slow 2 rounds out at Brewster. I believe for the 2 rounds that he played at Fox Run Meadows, I think he was 19 or 20 under. So when you look at where he's doing his overall scoring, if he's 19 under out of 32 under, it's clear that he's playing the Fox Run Meadows course better than he was playing at Brewster. And he's a well-rounded competitor, but it looks like he's found his comfort zone, staying completely clean on the scorecard today. Also a strong finish on holes 17 and 18, which I do love. I think Kyle Klein will be in that conversation tomorrow. He's just going to have to put it all together like he knows how to do. He has won an Elite Series event. He is a very talented player from both sides, both the forehand and the backhand. No shortage of distance. So Kyle Klein, not a surprise to see an 11 under from him. It's a matter of, can he be a contender tomorrow afternoon?
And Terry, you were spot on. He is 20 under par overall at Fox Run thus far this tournament. He just had the cold start at Brewster round 1 at a 4 under par, but has improved ever since then. And now he puts himself in the podium picture at that 3-way tie. Now there is one more member of that 3-way tie. It's going to be Anthony Barella, and we will hear from him and discuss the rest of the players still in the mix after we come back from this break.
Hello, we're Kenna. We're a Dutch growing company. We love plants, and we want to tell you some cool things about them. Just like humans, plants can communicate. They can sense when another plant is close. Plants look out for each other too. They warn neighbors about nearby threats by secreting substances. And studies have shown that plants love a good tune. We love and understand plants. Let our passion excite you too.
Whether I'm on the course or behind a camera, there's one thing driving me forward: the shot. The shot no one else thinks about or would even dare to try. The shot that people will remember, that tells a story. For me, that's what disc golf is all about. Introducing the time-lapse, the first 12-speed featuring gyro overmold technology, and the first disc in the Simon line. Coming soon.
Joined now by AB 8 down today. Just initial thoughts after that round.
Just so many opportunities, but just couldn't get it done today. So,
I mean, what was falling short?
I missed some putts I should have made, and then hole 17, I threw my drive. I loved it out of my hand, and then I don't know, it just ended up being long. I got a weird wind bounce, and that just ultimately pushed me off the lead card tomorrow, which is a bummer, but still one more round, still in it. Should be within 4 strokes, I think, of the lead. So,
All right, what's going to be the mentality hitting the course tomorrow on Championship Sunday?
just got to capitalize all the opportunities. I'm throwing the disc great. I mean, just making stupid mistakes, losing focus, and missing short putts is not something I need to be doing tomorrow, so hopefully I can dial it in.
All right, still right in the mix. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
And those are some words from Anthony Barella, the last member of our three-way tie for third as we head into our final round of Worlds. Of course, he's a guy that's no stranger to finishing on the podium. He has 2 second-place finishes earlier this year at Texas State, the New City Open. He also has plenty of top 10s, including very recently at D-Glow, the European Open, and Des Moines. He's a guy that definitely feels at home at Fox Run, and he had some ups and downs today, but winds up at 8 under par to remain in third place. He was actually, Terry, the only guy who didn't move position today. He just remained in third, I guess you could say. Puts himself 4 strokes behind the lead. Kind of your thoughts on what you were hearing there from Barella in the interview and just, what his outlook is for tomorrow?
Well, as I mentioned at the pregame, actually, that Anthony Barella just needs to keep the putter going. He's had pretty solid, consistent putting leading into this round. I think he was at 94% from C1X before today's round, and he just said it right there. I need to make the short putts. I need to take advantage of those. You're not necessarily disappointed with the 8 under that he ultimately scored today, but I think he's going to need a lot more than that because of the players that are in front of him for tomorrow. It is a solid score, but I'd like to see Anthony continue what he's done on the front half. He got off to a pretty good start today. It's that middle section. It's holes 8 and 9. And if you take a look at where the scoring is, most of the players that have a birdie run at some point throughout this course, they're either stopped at 8 or they're stopped at 9. Both of them can be very challenging. You can find OB on both of those par 3s. And if you go OB in the wrong spot, there's not necessarily even a chance to save the par. And I think we saw that from Chris Dickerson today. We also saw that from Anthony Barella. So just be thinking as you're watching the scores and how everyone's playing tomorrow, 8 and 9 kind of tend to be a little bit of those mid-round breakers for some of our players, even the players that are in the best of their zones.
That's a very fair point, and you did bring up Dickerson, so let's move that direction. He is currently sitting in solo 6th position. This is a guy who had some slower patches early this season, but he's also been able to find some podium finishes this year as well, including at D-Glow right before Worlds. He's also a guy who's had a lot of success at this property in the past. Was our 2nd place finisher at GMC last year. He won GMC in 2021. He moved up 66 spots to get into 3rd place after a 12 under par round, his first attempt at Fox Run. Continued to play well at Brewster yesterday, but today he only shoots 6 under par despite going 4 down through 6 to start the day. I know he did have a couple of bad breaks at times here and there, but he also had some unforced errors that he committed himself, and it puts him 5 strokes off the lead, and it took a round that could have been something spectacular, and it wound up turning into something that puts him, a lot more behind than he expected, I think, Terry.
Yeah, and looking at that putt that he converted on circle from outside of circle 2 on hole 2, I knew right away that we were going to be in for some fireworks, and it was awesome to see that putt kind of off balance, off center, leaning out to his left, and then he cans the putt. It was really when he got into the middle section of the course I was just mentioning. Actually, 8 and 9 is where he had troubles. He had an incredible follow-up there on 10, and he put himself right next to the basket. He was matching shots. But I want to go back to holes 7, 8, and 9, maybe even hole number 4, where we saw a good shot by him, but it ended up hitting off near the basket and then rolling away from him. And it was some bad luck, even though it was a really good shot. If you put him out there again and said, throw this shot again, he would take that all day long. But hitting off of the stones there just in front of the basket, that's going to take him away. He doesn't convert the birdie there, and that feels like a heartbreaker, especially knowing how good of a shot that really was. And you can see that he doesn't ultimately get up and down and capture the birdie, that's going to be frustrating because he threw a near perfect shot. And then here he is on hole number 7, and this is just a heartbreaker all around. I was watching from the fairway thinking, man, he's got it dialed in and gets the skip. And then the double punishment. Not only does it get up and roll away to distance, but rolls out of bounds. And that, again, just doesn't seem fair. He doesn't go on to convert, but that hurts. And then on hole number 8, this is, if seven didn't happen and a 4 didn't happen, you wouldn't maybe think too much of this. He still misses the short putt, which you'd expect him to make. But nonetheless, just felt like any luck that Chris Dickerson had out there today was all bad luck. And that was kind of brutal to watch. You saw him with some of the frustration then when he headed over to holes number 13, 14, 15 in that general range. You saw him actually take it out on a tree. He did so with his left hand, not his throwing hand. That's actually a change from when I saw some frustration from him in a previous round where he used his right hand. And Chris Dickerson usually keeps to himself so quietly and so within himself, or maybe him and his wife. He showed some frustration over these last couple of rounds. He knows what a world title would mean to him and his family. And Chris Dickerson not getting any good luck out there today, so that certainly didn't help.
Yeah, those 2 left jabs came after a missed Mando on hole 13. And so speaking of bad luck, that tree unfortunately suffered some as well. But, Dickerson, for all it's worth, still in the mix, right? He's 5 strokes off the lead. That's not impossible to come back from. He's definitely a fierce competitor. And, just had a couple of bad breaks, a couple of unforced errors to go along with it. And that recipe just kind of led to him falling a little bit behind. But, again, certainly still have to keep an eye on him. Now, another player who really struggled today, Terry, and I hate even talking about it because it was tough to watch, that was Cole Randal. Of course, Cole came into this tournament our Ledgestone champion and a guy who has finished on the podium many times this year, including recently at D-Glow just before this tournament. He has been a very consistent player. He's ranked top 10 in our Pro Tour standings, and he's a guy who battled consistently all throughout this tournament. I mean, he was able to join an 8-way tie for 5th after the first round at Brewster, shooting 9 under there. He shot 8 under at Fox Run his first go. That put him 1 stroke behind the lead. Yesterday, he winds up taking the lead by a stroke after shooting a fantastic round at Brewster. And today, entering with a 1-stroke lead, he drops all the way down to 23rd place after shooting 3 over par. And, I mean, I hate to ask it this broadly, but Terry, what the heck happened out there? It just seemed like he was a shadow of himself on the course today.
From a distance, it was tough to nail down exactly what was going on with him, and I know I just kind of gave Chris Dickerson the bad luck. I don't want to call it an excuse, but that's what we saw, felt like, out of Chris Dickerson. Cole Randal just didn't seem to have his stuff today. I'm not sure if I can pinpoint it to anything. The one thing I would make sure to not point it to is any kind of nerves. That doesn't feel like Cole Randal in how established he's been this year, how confident he's been, how calm and collected he's always been. So I'm not going to chalk it up to nerves. I just think he just didn't have his best stuff today. And when you're on a course like this, it can be very punishing. And you saw all the various bogeys or double bogeys on his scorecard. He makes that huge mistake of going out of bounds on 18 the way he did. And that's a guaranteed bogey if you're going to go out of bounds early on the right-hand side of hole number 18. So we wish him the best of luck. That is going to be a very tough fall for him to go all the way down to 23rd, of course, squashing really any hopes or dreams of becoming world champion. So he'll build on this, and this will continue to just be part of a very long and successful career that we'll expect to still have out of Cole Randal.
Yeah, I think the killer stat for me was coming into day 4. He only had a total of 3 out-of-bounds penalties for the first 3 rounds combined. Today, he had 8 out-of-bounds penalties at Fox Run, and that really kind of basically tells you all you need to know on a course where it's paramount to stay, inside the lines. But one final story that we have to talk about today, Terry, to kind of wrap things up in a more optimistic light, is the story of Eagle McMahon. This is a guy who came into Worlds ranked 3rd in the world in most people's eyes, including over at UDisc. He's a guy who's also had success this year, 2nd at Champions Cup and at Jonesboro. Recently had some top 5 finishes at the PCS Open and came 2nd at D-Glow. So was on a pretty good pace. He came into today, Terry, somewhere in the 30s. I think he was like 31st, 32nd, kind of somewhere in that range. He winds up jumping up 21 spots as he shoots the course record of 14 under par, putting him in 7th and just 6 strokes off the lead. We got to catch up with him to talk about it after the round.
In the clubhouse with Eagle McMahon. Eagle, what was the plan of attack when you woke up this morning and hit the course?
Honestly, nothing different. Obviously, there's a little bit more pressure because, I haven't been playing bad per se, but I definitely feel like the course hasn't given me all that I wanted. So I knew today was a crucial day if I wanted to have any sort of chance going into tomorrow's final round.
What was different about today in play-wise?
It's so funny. I really don't feel like anything was that much different. Same game plan, same attitude, but that's just disc golf sometimes. You can not hit the side of a barn one day and then the next day it's like you can do anything. So it's very interesting, but same game plan, just was able to execute and throw a great round at Fox Run.
Yeah, 14 down, stellar. Break down your putting. Obviously you did extremely well this weekend at the Putting World Championships and that showed today. Is there anything different?
I would say definitely a little bit of confidence. There's definitely a multitude of times out there where I'm just thinking about putting really well over at the school in Jefferson, getting the Putting World title. That's definitely a good confidence boost. Still have missed a few that I feel like I should have made, but overall, really, really content with how that round went.
I mean, you met the pressure today. What is the pressure level like now going forward into Championship Sunday?
It just feels good to be back in it. I assume that a lot of the other guys ahead of me are going to still continue to shoot really well, and to have any sort of chance, you're going to probably need to do the same thing tomorrow, if not better. But I love you, Ian, but don't count anyone out. If you're 40th place, there's always 18 under.
All right, that's Eagle McMahon right back in the mix here in Vermont.
Today, I think only maybe 5 or 6 players found that today out of a pretty big field. He also went 93% from C1X, just 1 missed putt there, was 2 for 3 from Circle 2, only 1 OB penalty, and just overall played some fantastic golf. We got to see a couple of his shots throughout coverage today. First of all, Terry, are you surprised to hear Eagle McMahon was able to shoot a course record today at Fox Run Meadows, or does that just sound like an Eagle thing to do?
Yeah, that's certainly right up Eagles' alley. And to be fair, I think there's a lot of players that could shoot that 14 under. I will say that it's out there. The scoring conditions have been just about perfect. Today was a little less windy than what we saw during round number 2. I haven't checked the wind for tomorrow, but if it's anything like today, I think we're going to be in for another great day for scoring. So, yes, congratulations to Eagle McMahon on a phenomenal round. And what's even more interesting, as you just said, he actually had a miss from C2 and a miss from C1 and still scored the 14 under. So that has to feel good for Eagle McMahon. Not sure if that's going to be enough to go ahead and move into the world title crown that he's looking for tomorrow, but at least it does give him a glimmer of hope. He's going to need a little help from the guys in front of him, and he's going to need another really solid round. But Eagle McMahon making a big move here on moving day, and I love it.
Yeah, definitely one of the biggest moves that we saw of the day. And, well, Terry Miller, that is going to wrap us up for day 4 of Worlds. We just have one final round left before we crown our world champions for 2023. We'll be back in the morning with FPO coverage bright and early, as always, with Tournament Central. MPO will follow directly after that. We hope that you'll join us for it. I'm Dustin Murray. With me is Terry Miller. We're signing out for the evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
ready when you are. Come, discover Vermont.
When you first sign up for a PDGA membership, you're given a PDGA number. Your PDGA number is a stamp for when you got involved in the sport. It's a badge of pride for players and a part of your disc golf identity. Get your number today. Visit pdga.com/join.
This is Latitude 64. The smallest of grains handled with the greatest passion. Always trying to improve, always trying to be better. Out of curiosity, excitement, thrill. For the player and the sport. Because we want to make disc golf awesome for you.
Nice Valley, Montana, with my family. When we were bored, my parents would just be like, go outside. That's where memories are made. It's such a part of childhood that I feel like is being lost today, and I have desperately tried to instill that into my kids.